welcome. My name is Karen A. I'm here in Jerusalem, and I'm here with my sister. She's my sister, and I've never even met her. Jaynie. I don't even know where she's located, is the truth, but she'll tell us soon. It is my pleasure to be here. Reco12 is a family of recovery resources where addicts of all fellowships, all walks of life come together to recover through the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. You're welcome here, whether you are an alcoholic, a drug addict, a codependent, a workaholic, an Al-Anon like me. What else? A compulsive overeater, compulsive gambler, and feel free to add anything to the list. You could check out our family of recovery resources at, what's that? You could check out our family of recovery resources at Reco12.com. And if you would like to contribute your 7th tradition, we need that, and that helps pay for the cost of technology and these Zooms. At Reco12.com/support, we accept PayPal and Venmo. If you would like to share on the Reco12 podcast, you could hit us up through there. Either reach out to me directly, to Justin B., or record a little sample on our SpeakPipe widget there on the website, and we'll be in touch with you. We'd love to have you. We're always looking for more speakers in the Afro-Euro Timezone, and I will put my number in the chat so that you can do that. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Jaynie. Jaynie is going to tell us about herself, her experience, strength, and hope. And she'll be sharing for about 20-25 minutes. And I'm going to ask you guys to put your questions in the chat, take notes, write them right in the chat, and then Jaynie will look at them, and we'll take them one by one, and then we'll close the meeting by having Jaynie pray us out with the prayer of her choice. Jaynie, great to have you here today. Thanks for joining us.
Sorry, I'm just getting organised there. Am I muted? No. Okay.
You're good.
Thank you. Yeah, let me just take a moment to centre myself, to be honest. Yeah, my name's Jaynie. I'm a grateful, recovered addict, alcoholic. I just want to take a couple of seconds. I'm not really a morning person. I'm actually in London. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and we've had severe storms through the night, which have kept me awake. So I've had hardly any sleep, and I'm also staying during the week where I work. So I'm getting called out to work as well, which is a bit distracting for me at the moment. But yeah, thanks, Karen, for inviting me to this meeting to come and be of service. I was asked to share on a subject, and my subject was I believe it was gaining and understanding a relationship with a power greater than myself. So yeah, I'm an addict and an alcoholic, and what does that mean to me? Okay, so for me to have the disease, which in 1953, the World Health Organization publicly recognised alcoholism and addiction as a mental disorder. And so that basically means that my thinking around drugs and alcohol is different from people who aren't like me. They don't have the same thinking patterns as what I do, because a lot of people think that drugs and alcohol is a physical illness, but for someone like me, it isn't. It's a mental illness, because for over 30 years, I drank and used substances which caused me distress, they caused me harm, they never allowed me to accomplish anything in my life, they broke up my family, I got into bad relationships, police stations, hospitals, institutions, you name it. Social services were involved with my family for a long time, and no matter what I knew about drinking and taking drugs and the effect that it had upon me in my life, no matter how much pain it caused, how much damage it did, how much it took away from me, and how much it didn't even let me have. I had a mind which would tell me that it's okay, that it isn't the drinking, it isn't the recreational drugs, that it's what my mother did to me when I was a child, it's what my partner's doing to me now. My kids are driving me mad. You're so hard done by, you know, all of them things, all of them things. And it would never be, do you know what? There's something wrong with your head. It never told me that. It would just say to me, well, if you don't drink with those people, you're going to be okay. If you don't drink in that place, you'll be all right. If you switch from this brand to that brand, you're going to be okay. If you drink at certain times, if you don't drink at certain times, anything other than you need to quit entirely. And when it did get to the point where I needed to quit entirely and I couldn't, that's when it got really scary for me. And it took a lot to get me to that point. I'm an extremely strong-willed person. You know, they say that people that drink and take too many drugs, there must be something wrong with their willpower. But for an addict and an alcoholic of my type, that is my problem. My willpower is so strong that it will get me to do something that I don't want to do. When I start, I can't stop, and basically it's going to end up killing me. And I'll get to a point where I just think, I want to die. So I'm just going to kill myself with drugs and alcohol. And the book talks about it being at the jumping off place that that I would know loneliness like few do, you know, that I wouldn't be able to imagine my life with or without alcohol. Yeah. And then it was going to be an absolutely sorry, my phone's distracting me. Yeah, it's so sorry. It's popping down. That your name came down, Clarissa, and it distracted me. I thought it was a message for me. It's freaked me out a little bit. So anyway, let me recenter myself. Sorry, I have to be honest. What I've got to do is I've got to be honest, because if I'm not, when I keep something to myself and I've got fear or discomfort, if I don't share it, right, what it does is it boomerangs, and it absolutely does me. It does me bad. I'm really uncomfortable sharing on Zoom. I don't get. I'm a person that works on energy. I'm a seeker. You know, I feed off of energy is what I do. And when I do shares on Zoom, I find it very difficult to engage because I don't get no energy. I don't get no energy, so I've got to try and create my own. Is what I've got to try and do, and I kind of struggle with that stuff. Um, and all your screens are blank. I can't see any faces. It's like I'm sitting here talking to myself, and that's not me being horrible. That's me saying to you guys, come on, let me see your face. You know, I've got up this morning. I've got to go to work, and I've come here, right, and I feel uncomfortable and I'm full of fear, and I'm talking to myself basically. And you guys have come to listen, and I'd ask, you know, that at least you could do is let me know that you're there. You know, give me something back here, because I'm really struggling at the moment, to be honest with you. And what God has done for me, right? What God has done for me, God has given me the ability to be honest, even when I'm frightened that it might upset somebody, because my motives are pure. I'm not here to cause anyone anguish. I'm not on this planet to cause anyone pain or distress. I'm here to carry a message. You know, I am here today primarily to show what God can do. You know, and I never knew that. I never knew that. I thought that I was here to show what Jaynie could do. I thought I was here to say, listen, I don't care that you beat me as a child. I don't care that you rape and beat me on a daily basis. I'm going to show you what I can do. You know, and I didn't get very far behaving like that, I can tell you. And it wasn't until someone opened a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with me, and they said to me, look, you know, you've got an illness that centres in your mind, and it talks you into doing stuff that you don't want to do. And what was so beautiful about this guy was for a couple of days we just sat there, and he never actually told me what was wrong with me. And all my life people had been pointing out what was wrong with me. And this guy just sat there and he told me what was wrong with him. And I thought, you know what? That's me. That's me. I'm like that. I drink like that. I do them things when I drink. I hate myself. I want to die on a daily basis. I don't know a way out. And he held my hand and he walked me through a 12-step program of recovery. And you know, step one is about powerlessness. And all the steps, I know they're about God, but they're also about me. You know, because I went through my whole life looking at everybody else and pointing out what was wrong with them. And when I went through the steps, I found out about me, and I found out about what God could do if I let him. You know, it was about my powerlessness. I do it when I don't want to do it, and when I start, I cannot stop. It was about my unmanageability, my trouble with my personal relationships. I couldn't control my emotional nature. I was a prey to misery and depression. I couldn't make a living. I was unhappy. You know, all of these things, I was useless. I couldn't be of help to other people, and I was full of fear. You know, it was all my stuff. And then I found out that I could come to believe in a power greater than myself that could restore me to sanity. And in step three, I made a decision. I made that decision to turn my will over to the care of God as I understood him. You know, and then in step four, it says that even though my decision is vital and crucial, which it was, which means it's absolutely paramount, it's more important than anything else, it would have little or permanent effect unless I vigorously faced the things which have been blocking me off from God. It was about me. It was about getting myself out of the way of of this space between me and God that I'd created. So I vigorously set about taking a moral inventory. And what I love about that word is it's not an immoral inventory. It's a moral inventory of my behaviour. It doesn't necessarily indicate that for me that's good or bad. It means I've got to have a look at everything. I've got to have a look at my assets as well as my defects. You know, because if I'm going to build something, I'm going to need something good to build with. I can't build it just off of the bad stuff. My foundations, yeah, it's built around powerlessness, but I've got to have something good there to know that God has been in my life somewhere along the line, you know. And what I found was, and it talks about it in step two, it says that the fundamental idea of God is inside every single man, woman, and child. You know, search diligently within inside yourself. It is only there that he may be found. And a doctor's opinion, you know, I do talk about the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous because no human power could restore me to sanity. It tells me that in a book on several occasions by doctors, you know. And it says, he said that I needed to have some form of moral psychology, which means I need to know right from wrong. I knew right from wrong. What I needed was a 12-step program which would enable me to have a spiritual experience, which means I get connected to a power that says I can do right from wrong. It gives me the power to do it. Because just knowing it, self-knowledge won't fix me. I need to be connected to power so that I can carry out these actions, you know. And when I searched diligently inside myself and I realised that God was within me, and I went through 4, 5, 6, and 7 and unblocked myself from him, I realised that I had to let God out. I didn't have to let him in. And that was absolutely life-changing for me because all my life I'd been grabbing at things that were outside, putting them in me, trying to change the way that I felt and I behaved. And the whole time I just had to stop doing all this stuff with the externals and just concentrate on what was in me, and I could let God out. And then when I let him out, he could actually demonstrate his power through me. In step three, I made a decision to turn my thinking over to him. And round about somewhere in 4, he starts to give it back to me because it tells me, you know, on page 69, I start to build an ideal through prayer and meditation with God about what my ideal sex life would be. And I believe for me, that's about what every single relationship that I'm going to have from there on. I build this ideal with God. How do I want to see myself in this world? I've just met myself in step 4. I didn't like myself very much. You know, I've been given an opportunity to completely wipe the slate clean and start again, reborn, reset. I mean, I was abused by paedophiles as a child. I had a mother that used to bounce me as a 5-year-old by my hair and punch me in the head. You know, I was a street raker on the streets of London because it was safer to be out there than it was to be at home with my family. You know, older brothers, everyone just beating the shit out of each other. You know, violence. Me as a little girl sitting in a corner screaming with my hands over my ear saying, please, everyone stop, and then getting beaten up because I'm making too much noise. you know, and then going on from that place to every situation that I walked in, I was terrified that someone was going to whip me, so I'd fight people constantly. Get into domestic violent relationships for 18 years. I'm raped and beaten on a regular basis, but I think it's normal. I think that's love. I come into recovery with no spleen, reconstructive surgery to my hands, my face, my back, and my head. I think that sucking some geezer's dick is how I tell them that I love them. That's me. I've got no shoes, I've got 4 children, I've got one that's run away from home and telling people that I'm dead. My eldest daughter's run away, she's living with a guy, you know, and I've got 2 little kiddies that are going to be taken by social services. And I remember when I used to pray as a little girl, and I'm thinking, where is God now? Why has he left me? You know, and the only woman in the world that I want to know why you treated me like that, she's now passed away of cancer. And I can't get my head around it, and I feel more alone than anything. So desperate to change. I hated my life, I hated myself, and I met myself in step 4. You know, when I stood at the turning point with complete abandon. And for the first time in my life, I had to take responsibility for my part in my pitiful life. And I realised that with God's power, it didn't have to be like that. So I stood at the turning point with complete abandon. You know, did I want to live with dishonesty, resentment, selfishness, and fear? Or did I want to say, you know, God, even though their symptoms disturb me, this too is a sick person. How can I be helpful? How can I show kindness, tolerance, love? I know I can't be helpful to everybody, but at least I can try and take a kindly and tolerant view. You know, how do I avoid retaliation and argument? By practicing the principles: absolute love, absolute honesty, absolute unselfishness, you know, absolute purity. And it's been really difficult for me because I come in really damaged and I've had to work really hard, and I had a baby in recovery, you know, and then we split up, and I was like, God, I've ended up a single mum again, you know, and then I got into another relationship further down the line, and it was really toxic, and it brought me to the point where I wanted to kill myself, and I tried to. You know, I lost a baby in recovery, and it was awful. It was like you know, I was in the bath and there was blood everywhere, and I had to pick her little body up and bury her in my garden. And I gave her the name Rose. And 3 years later, the neighbours' builders desecrated her grave. You know, all this stuff. I had a young man of 21 years of age murdered in front of me when I was at work, had his throat cut. My brother, who was prolific to me coming back into recovery, died of cancer. And you know, not once did I need to drink on it. Not once. What did I do? I trusted God. I paused. I prayed. I asked him to help me. Then I shared it with somebody else. And then I'd help someone. Sponsor women. Oh God, I can't tell you how many women I've opened a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with. Not because I'm a hero, not because I can save your life, not because I think that I'm your solution, because if I'm a problem, I can't be your solution, but because I know how it feels to be desperate and lonely and want to die. I know how it feels when your son is telling people that you're dead. And as a result of doing these things, as a result of trusting God, cleaning house, helping others, getting a sponsor, just shutting my mouth up and doing what I had to do at the beginning, you know, going to 153 meetings on foot in 90 days, doing all of that stuff, constantly with a commitment at meetings, prolific in 2 fellowships, sharing my inventory, keeping my mouth shut when people hurt me and upset me. Instead of smashing the room up, I'd sit quietly and close my eyes and go, would you want them to use? No. Then show them love. Show them love. The love that you wanted someone to show you when you didn't know how to act in this world. When you were cruel and unkind to people because you were frightened. Be that person. Be that person. Even though it hurts you, be that person. And as a result of that, when I was 2 years in, I bumped into that child that hated me, or I thought he hated me, and I made an amends to him. I 12-stepped him 2 years later, and 18 months after that, my son asked me to help him, and I took him through a 12-step program of recovery. He's now 8 years clean and sober. He celebrates it on my belly button birthday. And you know, and we haven't got a perfect relationship. I damaged him a lot. I damaged him a lot. And recently we were meant to be sharing at a top table together. And he said to me, Mum, I'm really struggling. I need to pull back a little bit. He's in therapy. You know, he's also doing a counselling course and he works full time and he helps untold men in his community. But what we do have is the ability to not be frightened to be who we are. He's not scared to say to me, Mum, I need to pull away. And even though I'm frightened and even though I get scared and my head goes to me, it's you, see, you're bad, you're no good. God says to me, I've never let you down yet. And I'm not going to let you down now. Just give him time. That's love. That's unconditional love. Give him time. So how do I keep this relationship with God? How do I improve upon it? Prayer and meditation. You know, upon awakening. Not 4 hours after I've got up and I've had 16 cups of coffee and fell out with 6 people in my head. The minute my brain enters this world, you know, I consider my plans for the day. But I don't just consider them. Before I begin, I ask God to direct my thinking. What will you have me be today, God? I'm here to serve you. Because you see, in step 3, I gave him my thinking. And somewhere in the middle, he gave it back to me. And he went to me, listen, I've done for you what you can't do for yourself. Now you got to help me. Now you got to pay. This is what you got to do. You got to show people what my power does when you're connected to it. And you've got to help people get connected to it. And then you've got to have a relationship with me. I need to hear about you. I need to be able to talk to you. And I can only do that when you're still and you're quiet. YouTube wasn't about when I wrote the book. Don't listen to apps. They're just a disturbance from my thinking. It says the man that was armed with facts about himself. And the reason he was armed with facts about himself is because he was able to sit with himself. You know, I asked God to divorce me, to separate me from selfish, dishonest and self-seeking motives. And the only things throughout the book that it tells me to look for, all roots of dysfunction, of discomfort, they will stem from fear. It's as simple as that. I'm either leaning into love or I'm leaning into fear. There's 2 sponsors in this world. You've got the one that says do this and die, or you've got the one that says do this and love. It's as simple as that. You know, am I leaning into light or am I leaning into the darkness? It's always my choice. Always my choice. Because if I lean into the darkness, I'll end up with no choice. And I know that today. I've seen it happen over and over again. So prayer and meditation. And then it says, you know, when we retire of a night. And again, it's talking about prayer and meditation. It's a spiritual inventory. It's not a written inventory. It's an inventory between me and God. But it's step 10. Step 10 is the one. You know, step 10 is absolutely paramount to my relationship with God. It says, when these crop up. So that's the when step. And I'm going to read it out. And my book opens straight on step 10 because it says, this thought brings us to step 10. And it's coming from the promises. And they're not the step 9 promises for me. They're this phase of this development. And the phase is clearing up the wreckage of the past, becoming unblocked, seeing who I was and building this ideal with this power to who I want to be. You know, and it says this thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. That's a 24-hour step. It's a living step. It's a living step. We vigorously, that means like an athlete, begin this way of living as we cleaned up the past. So as I start steps 4, I should be doing a 10. We have entered the world of the spirit. You know, wow. I think I pretty much have expressed the difference between the person that I was to the person that I am today. And it happened quickly. It was like that. You know, I went through the steps in 28 days. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. You know, what am I growing in? I'm growing in my relationship with God and my understanding and my effectiveness in doing his work. This is not an overnight matter. You know, it's not going to happen in one night. It should continue for my lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment and fear. When these crop up, we ask God. When I ask a question, I usually wait for an answer to remove them, you know, at once. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we've harmed anyone. Trust God, clean house, help others. It's as simple as that. You know, I got removed from school. It talks about, you know, I need to have a spiritual experience. What is a spiritual experience? Page 5, 6, 7. The biggest change steps, 5, 6, and 7. You know, sharing with another human being and God the exact nature of my wrongs. 6, being willing for him to remove these wrongs. And in 7, asking him the biggest change steps. You know, so that when I walk out in 8, because I'm building an archway, 1, 2, and 3. Step 1 is my powerlessness, my foundation stone. Step 2 is my cornerstone, that's my willingness. And step 3 is the keystone that holds the whole structure together. You know, and I walk through this archway in steps 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and in 9 I'll become free and I'm on the other side. 10, 11, 12 keep me on the side. You know. Sorry, that's got Sponsee ringing me. And you know, and as a result of that, I've been able to do stuff in my life that I never dreamed possible. You know, when I talk about a life beyond my wildest dreams, I got removed from school at the age of 13 years. And they removed me with the police because I was that troublesome. And in recovery, I've been able to get an education. I got my high national diploma, level 3 in health and social care. I got a distinction merit profile. You know, I went on to be accepted into 5 universities. I got a degree in psychology. I'm a Bachelor of Science. You know, I'm a single mum today. I work. I've got my own car. It's in my name. You know, and for some people, these aren't big things. But I never had nothing. I didn't even have a pair of shoes that fitted me when I come in. You know, I couldn't be a mother. I couldn't sit and listen to anybody. I was so restless that I'd march up and down my living room smoking 15 fags, drinking a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, shouting at the neighbour across the road. I'd be on the phone arguing with the council, screaming about someone that's parked outside my house and I ain't even got a car. You know, my kids are jumping about because I've given them £15 worth of sweets and I'm going to them, why are you so mad? And then I'd go to my friend's house and do the same thing till the point where she threw me out. And then I had an Ed that would say to me, just drink and use, you'll feel better. You know, let that crazy guy back into your house and let him beat you up because it's better than being on your own. You know, and I've managed to do all of these things on my own, spiritual experience. You know, prayer and meditation for me is absolutely paramount. But it tells me that I cannot, you know, and it says that nothing else will ensure immunity as intensive work one alcoholic with another. But it also tells me that I cannot transmit something that I haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. You know, I have had a spiritual experience. Step 12 is, you know, so step 10 is about looking at myself. Again, it's about me and my relationship with God. It's paramount. The whole 12 steps is about me and my relationship with God. And then because I can have this relationship with God, I can go out into the world and I can have a relationship with others. And step 12, you know, so step 11 suggests prayer and meditation, not a nightly inventory, prayer and meditation. And then step 12 is 3 steps. The first part of which is a promise. Having had a spiritual experience as a result of these steps. The first 11 proposals. You know, there's a promise. We tried to carry this message. You ain't going to get it perfect. You know, progress, not perfection. Why did they put that in there? Because progress means to keep moving forward. And I can't get perfection because the realm of the spirit is infinite. I will never get to the end of it. Not until I join it completely. You know, and that's when I leave this realm and I move on to the next one. So it's progress for me, not perfection. You know, and then it says, we practice these principles in all of our affairs. And I do today try everything I can. For me, it's about honesty and integrity. If I don't have honesty, I cannot work the rest of the steps. And if I haven't got integrity, I haven't got a relationship with God, because integrity is about doing the right thing, even when no one else can see me. You know, on page, a much more important demonstration of our principles lies before us in our respective homes, business, occupations and affairs. You know, and the principles they're talking about is from the Oxford groups. They were writing the book when they wrote that. And they are absolute love, absolute honesty, absolute purity and absolute unselfishness. and I'll never get it perfect, but I will try so hard to practice it to the best of my ability, because what I have been paid, I've been given the keys to the kingdom in exchange for a bottle and a broken life. I couldn't even help myself. And today, regardless of all the fear and all the anxieties and a crazy head that talks to me in a voice that sounds like God, do you know what I mean? I still managed to come on here and talk to you guys. I'll still manage to go to work today. I still managed to drive to Margate later, and I'm doing a share tomorrow at the top table, and I've got my little boy there, and my son will hopefully be there to share with us. And if he isn't, then that's God's will, not mine. So thanks for letting me share this morning, and I'll leave it there. Thank you. Oh, and the prayer. Do I have
Wow.
to say the prayer? I think you do.
Wow. Wow. No, you say the prayer at the end, a few minutes before 9 a.m. your time. I'm driving, so I have to stay off camera. But wow. Wow, you said exactly what I needed to hear. And that was so powerful. Identified being a single mom, having a impressive resume of trauma and drama that didn't let up. I hear that in your story. You've been through a lot of big ones, and you love to tell the tale with a program that works, with a God that has your back. I'm going to ask people to pop questions in the chat. What really struck me, and I'm going to get personal here because progress, not perfection. I'm sponsoring people, and I realize that I'm trying to transmit something I haven't got. I mean, not every day, right? I fall in my program, I fall in my emotional sobriety. What do you do when you're feeling that way? When you've done your inventory and you're like, yeah, I've been dishonest. I owe my employer a few hours. Yeah, someone else definitely for that problem. But I've been telling you when you
You're breaking up, Karen.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
What do you do when you realize that you may have let up on your program, gotten cocky, gotten angry? What do you do when you realize you're trying to transmit something to your sponsees that you haven't got? That's something I'm personally dealing with.
Right, okay, well, for me, I mean, it's always in the book. So it says, it's page 70. Suppose we fall short of the chosen ideal. It knows we're gonna. It's got it in the book. It's prepared for it. Because on page 69 it says, in meditation we ask God what we should do about each specific matter. It says that we try to shape a sane and sound ideal for our future. And then on the next page it says, suppose we fall short of the chosen ideal and stumble. Does this mean we're going to get drunk? Some people tell us so, but this is only a half truth. It depends on us and our motives. If we are sorry for what we have done and have the honest desire to let God take us to better things, we would believe we will be forgiven and learned our lesson. And for me, I'm not God. You know, for me, I'm not God, and I have to. And in those moments of like imperfection, I recognise that. But my illness loves that. My head will go, "Oh, see, because you're no good," you know. But that's just the dark talking to me again, and that's where it's really important to have somebody in my corner that's got a mind that thinks like mine, you know, who can identify with my thinking and can also say to me, well, what are you going to do about it? So I trust God. In those moments, I thank God that I've recognised where I'm wrong, where I'm blocked off. I recognise it, I get honest, and then I tell somebody immediately. We're as sick as our secrets, and I share it with someone. And then I resolutely get back on a bike and try and help someone. You fall off a bike, you get straight back on it. Otherwise, the fear will stop you from riding it again. And it's exactly the same with helping others. And a lot of the girls that I've helped along the line, I've got honest. And sometimes I've got too honest and I've lost sponsees over it. But I checked my motives. Why was I doing that? Was I doing it because I wanted to harm them? No. Every day is a lesson. Every day is a lesson. I check my motives. But at the end of the day, I'm not God. I'm not God. I'm not perfect. I'm not. And I'm just living in this world, and I'm doing my best to get it right. And every lesson that I learn is another day that I grow in effectiveness and understanding. Step 10 is paramount to that. I could wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I need to do a step 10. Do you know what I mean? If I'm not doing my nightly review properly, my prayer and meditation, and putting a guard on that door to keep old Mr. Nasty Illness at bay, so that when I wake up, but again, nothing with this mind that I've got, cunning, baffling and powerful, is a guarantee. That's why I've been given this spiritual toolkit. But yeah, like Karen, we're gonna fall short. We're gonna stumble. We're gonna. None of us are fallible. We're not God. That's why we need God. That's what he's there for. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, it definitely answers it. I was sharing also, like you said, with my sponsee about an emotional slip up I have where I got angry, where I got into blackout, anonism and codependency. And she was like, well, I thought we're not supposed to act that way. And I said to her, you're right. We're not. But all we have is a daily reprieve. You're not supposed to act that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I said to her, we're not, but we will if we're spiritually sick. Have you had relapses along the way? Can you share about that? Have you?
I was in when I was in AA for the first 3.5 years. I relapsed probably maybe 3 or 4 times. And then somebody opened a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with me, and I never knew I had an illness. I was in meetings saying I was an alcoholic, and I didn't know what it was to be an alcoholic. I didn't know about the allergy. I didn't know about the mental phenomenon of craving. I didn't know about any of that stuff. And yeah, when he explained to me, look, you've got an illness that centres in your mind, or rather he said, I've got an illness that centres in my mind. It talks to me, it will talk me into picking one up. And then when I do, I can't put it back down again. I was like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. That's me. And he said, no human power can restore you to sanity then. And I was like, well, that's handy, because I've been trying all my life to get people to fix me, So yeah, but in the last, in May, I'll be 14 years. I've never had a physical relapse or anything like that. But yeah, I've lost my temper at times. There's been behaviours which I wouldn't like to broadcast. Yeah, I'm not perfect by any means, but what I can say is that I've grown through every single experience, and I've learned from it. And I've always got honest and been willing to set the matter straight, always, every time. That's why I'm still here.
Amazing. Does anyone else want to come in with a question? Either write it in the chat or just unmute yourself and ask a question of our beautiful, amazing Jaynie. I'm just so inspired by you. Does anyone want to come in? I'm going to give it a minute.
Gloria here. I really like that part that you said, when their symptoms are bothering me, like the people that are also sick in the world. I really liked how you said that recognize that they also don't know how to act. Like, they're in fear. If they're angry, they're in fear of not getting something they want, or just the same as me. And yeah, just to show them love, because I experienced that today. I was so funny. I was talking to my sponsor about when people offend me, what are my defects, and asking God to remove those in the moment, as like it says, constantly, because I'm like, I would be doing that all day. And she said, yes, because you can't have in your mind, you can't be thinking bad things about people. If you're thinking bad things, you're going to act in that way. What you're thinking will be what you are. And so I'm like, okay, I really need to be on top of this. Got off the call from my sponsor, and I had 3 people I felt really attacked like they were angry. They weren't getting something they wanted. And I'm, my work is kind of controls something that they want. And I was like, I'm just doing what's, and I had made some mistakes, and someone called me out on the mistakes. And just was really great to hear what you just said about that. Like, they also don't know how to act, just like I didn't. I would fight and I would argue and I still do it. Like, I'm still a victim to that, Yesterday, the day before yesterday, I did that, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how could I have done that? Like, I just lashed out at someone. Yeah, so I just need to, just loved what you just said. Yeah, thank you. It's really, really, that talk was just what I needed to hear. Like, I just feel so much better. I was like, oh my goodness, I just feel like I've been in a battle today, and we're sensitive people, so it was just really lovely to hear your share. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And just loved what you said. That specifically, I wrote it into the chat, and then I thought, oh no, I won't distract you, but I've written it in my notes to remind me that when people are, acting a way that I find offensive or annoying, or I'm afraid, because like seeing that they're afraid and they don't know how to act, like, and they're frustrated. Like, I get it. People are frustrated often. So yeah. Oh, I think I'm talking into my. Sorry, I'm actually talking into my radio, so it might not be very clear. But thank you. I've talked a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you.
We have a question in the chat, and I think asking about step 11, but I think what Gloria just shared is a really great segue into 10, 11, and 12, right? Because if you're in battle with someone, or I just ripped into my mother, and again, though I may not like her symptoms, right? She may be spiritually sick like me, right? Can you talk about how we use our 10, 11, and 12 to take care of that? And again, in the chat, someone asked you to kind of take a deeper dive into step 11. Can you do that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, sorry, because I can't see the chat. Look, 10 and 11, you can't have one without the other. They're sister steps. They go hand in hand, because step 10 talks about when these crop up, we ask God immediately to remove them. So if I'm asking a question, then I'm going to usually wait for an answer. So it's in the pause, it's in the quiet, that when you pause something, you remain still, because it also talks about it in step 11. It says we pause when agitated. It's on page 87. It says, as we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show. So that's in step 11. So for me, that's also step 10. That's exactly the same instruction that it's given us in step 10. So 10 and 11, so 10's telling me to pray and meditate when these crop up, and step 11's telling me to meditate on my day. What's happened? Has it been a good day? Has it been a bad day? Is there somewhere that you can improve? Look, so it says, when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Now, to constructively do something means to look at it. It's a formal assessment with a beneficial purpose, instituting change if necessary. There's no pen, there's no paper. You can use pen and paper if you want, but this is about sitting alone with God. So for me, what this is about reviewing my step 10. It's about reviewing my life, the last 24 hours that have gone past. So it says, it asks again for those same things that we look for in step 10 and in step 4. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Then it says, do we owe an apology? Do you need to make an amends? Is there something we should have discussed with another person? So have you trusted me today? When difficulties have cropped up, have you discussed it with somebody else? I mean, sick is my secrets. If I'm not well and I'm blocked off, and I'm trying to talk to God, it's not going to happen. I need to share this with somebody else. I need to make sure that I am actually still connected to God. Because I've got people in my corner that will go to me, are you off your bloody head? Because they care more about my life than they do about my feelings. And it's like, sometimes it feels like I've been slapped, but sometimes it's like that hysterical woman in the films that they used to, they'd slap her around the face. Sometimes I need a spiritual slap. Do you know what I mean? It's like, wake up, you soppy cow, you've gone back to sleep, you know. And then it goes on to say, it says, after making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. Prayer and meditation. If I'm asking a question, I'm going to wait for an answer. But this is the best one. It says, on awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. So there we go. In step 3, I ask God to take my thinking. And in step 11, it's clearly saying here that he's given it back to me. It says we consider our plans for the day before we begin. So before I consider my plans for the day, I ask God to direct my thinking, especially asking that it be divorced, separated from self-pity, dishonest or self-seeking motives. It's quite simple. There it is again. That's all I'm looking for. Are you selfish? Are you dishonest? Are you just thinking about yourself? Are you frightened? You know, it says under these conditions, and this is one of the greatest promises that this book carries, under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance. Now, that, in layman's terms, is under these conditions, I can work my intellectual power, and that's a guarantee. And that's a guarantee. This book was written by 86 people. It wasn't written by one person. This ain't one clever person's opinion. This is the collective experience of 86 people that were dying, desperately dying from this illness, and they didn't want others to die from it as well. And they put blood, sweat, and tears into these pages to save our lives. And they've saved millions upon millions if we thoroughly follow the path. It's so simple. Trust God. That's prayer. Prayer and meditation. Clean house. Share your secrets with another person. Help others. Give freely of what you find and join us. It's so simple, but we take this whole book, we take all the millions of different fellowships, we take all the collective ideas and opinions of this one and that one, usually people that are blocked off because they've got the best opinions, because they love to control things. Yeah, I want to be God, I'm in control, we'll do it my way. No, trust God, clean house, help others. There's one paragraph at the end of the book, at the end of 164, and it says, and it sums it up. It says, abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. Trust God, clean house, help others. It doesn't get any... If that's how simple it is. He sums up the whole programme in 1, 2, 3, less than 4 lines. Less than 4 lines. You know, we complicate the hell out of it. If you feel uncomfortable, stop. Stop. God, God, God. Please, please remove this feeling from me. Breathe. Just hold on to that moment for a minute.
Can I be heard? I've just gone underground here.
Yeah, you know, pause.
Okay, great. Wow. Wow. You just said so much. Bless you. I just want to leap through Zoom and give you a hug and a kiss. I was that.
Karen?
Hysterical woman who needed a slap, just like in the movie. It's another accident. You want to get into that. The other thing she
I'm gonna...
said, which is even more important, you have to have someone, they don't have to yell at you. Stand on, you know, I reached out to about 10 fellows who were like, pray, meditate, help someone. You're dying. This will kill you. We got through it. Can you talk to some me program? 86 people. I actually didn't know that. I'm not such a, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. I thought it was frozen, but 86 people. I didn't know that. I'm not such a big book maven. 86 people, you know? That's about how many people I needed to smack me this week to calm me down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's how it gets when we black out. And your teens doing crazy. Lots of control. I want things my way. I'm afraid. I'm a bad mother. You know, it's all about me. Self-seeking. Lots of fear. That corroding thread. So get yourself a group of a few people, and even up to 86, who can save you and save the world as our forefathers did. And with that, dear Jaynie, bless you. You've been so helpful to me and others. I look forward to being in touch with you one-on-one. Boy, Have I been missing out? I should have done it sooner. You want to go ahead and pray us out?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you. Yeah. Well, listen, ladies, I wish you all a really, really safe and peaceful day. I chose the prayer of St. Francis because I just think that it's a spiritual experience in a prayer. It's unreal, you know. So yeah, so if you know the prayer of St. Francis, join me. If not, just enjoy the prayer, you know. So Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
And I took a page out of your heart, a great place for a broken man like me to start. And every time I see that halo in the sky, I warm my bones in the sun. I placed a bookmark in my life, so I remember how to stay close to the light. The youthful sympathy in a child's eyes. I warm my bones in the sun. I warm my bones in the sun. Fires blaze and rivers maze, and I come winding back to you. And people lie and curtains cry, a beauty born out of the blue. I'd give anything to you. You are my peace in times of war. I never had someone truly see me before. A beauty born out of despair. I warm my bones in the sun. I warm my bones in the sun. Fires blaze, rivers maze, and I come winding back to you. People lie, curtains cry, beauty born out of the blue. Well, I'd give anything to you. And all of a sudden, life seems so true. Fires blaze, rivers maze, and I come winding back to you. And people lie, curtains cry, a beauty born out of the blue. And I'd give anything to you. And I'd give anything to you. seen stars fall from above. I've fallen in and out of love. I've been high and I've been low. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. I've seen a boy become a man. He got lost without a plan. He's so far away from home. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me. Your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. I'm looking for the words to say. You make the world a better place, and I can call that place my home. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me. Your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. So let me see just what you need to set you free, so we can be free. I saw stars fall from above. I fell in and out of love. I got high and I fell low. But now I know that I just can't do this on my own. No, I just can't do this on my own.